Hi guys, welcome back to our Dutch farmhouse. In this video, after 164 years, I want to finish this hallway makeover. I've had it, I want to finish it this week, because what you may not know is that I actually started this makeover back in March last year. When we moved into this house almost a year ago, the entire upstairs was covered in a brownish, grayish, 50-year-old carpet. And I mean all of the floors in every room, even on the built-in beds in our kids' room as well as our own. So I think taking out the carpet was the very first thing that we did after we got the key. We replaced it with a beautiful oak wooden floor instead. And now I can talk you through that entire process, but that sounds incredibly boring. And you've probably seen it 1,000 times before. So I'm just gonna skip over that. But the one interesting thing that we ran into is that this house has the most beautiful original wooden beams, and we wanted to lay the flooring around that. So I actually made a little template out of a piece of cardboard and cut those shapes, which are not round. They are very strangely shaped beams. So I could cut out that shape and just lay the flooring perfectly around it, and it worked out really beautifully. It looks really cool. But anyway, this is what the floor looked like then. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, and this is Steven, who's always helping me out when he's not hiding from me and my camera. Now, we knew we weren't going to finish that project back then because there were so many more things that needed to get done before we could properly move in. But I did want to make it a little bit more homey and cozy for the time being, so I scattered some decor around. I put up some art. I also moved a cabinet onto the hallway so that we could store our linens there. But that is where we left this project back in April. Then in December over Vlogmas, I picked it back up. You can go back and watch these videos, but I finished this part here, which is around our bedroom door. I painted the walls. I painted those cabinet doors, which were a beautiful bright red before, and I put in the baseboards and trim around the doors. Then in my last video, which I will link up here or down there, or both, you saw the endless journey of me painting this wall. This is a beautiful Victorian looking pattern. I am absolutely in love with it. It's beautiful, but it was a bit of a process. I am not enjoying this. I don't know if this project is cursed. Keep going. If you want to go back and watch that video, it will be linked somewhere. But what else, you wonder, could possibly be left to do in this hallway? Let me tell you. I still need to paint that wall and the wall behind you and all of the doors. I also need to put up the baseboards and the trim around the doors on this wall here. I will have to deal with that horrid corner with the red shiplap that is clearly auditioning for The Shining and a radiator that might just qualify as modern art if you squint a lot. There's also a lot of cables and wires and things that need attention. So stick with me through the chaos, because at the end, I will reveal a fully finished hallway. Now, I think I should get started with the trim. There we go.
Bye.
Bye. I love you. So at first I wanted to do the painting first, but then I realized if I'm going to be cutting these trim pieces here and the paint's still wet, then there's probably going to be sawdust in everything. So I'll do the trims first, but I'm going to have to tape my shop vac to my saw. Where's my measuring tape? Oh boy.
Why does it sound like I feel like a stranger? It's like I'm surprised by the good things in life. Funny how you clear out all the noise in my head. Starting to think you might know me better than all of my friends. We still smile when we fight, and when I cry there's no words, you just simply can't.
finished all of the trim work. So I think I can actually get rid of all of the trim pieces and baseboard pieces that are still laying around here because I think I've got everything. I also started caulking around all of the trim and then I ran out of caulk. So I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store today or tomorrow anyway, so I'll pick some up then. But until then, we can at least start painting some things. Now for that wall, it's gonna be a little bit tricky because I did that caulking around the trim and obviously you're gonna see that. We don't want to see that, so I'm gonna paint that green. And then I have to make sure that the pattern actually like goes all the way up to the trim work. So, but I think I'm gonna save that for last. I'm gonna start with the easy ones, which are actually, I think, the most work, which is that wall right there and this one. And the biggest issue with those walls, both of them, is that they have a lot of those old beams on them or around them or going into them, and I want to paint around that. I definitely don't want to get any paint onto this beautiful old wood. So I'm gonna have to tape some things. I'm gonna have to be really careful. I have actually blocked out all of today and tomorrow for painting the walls and the doors. Now the trim work, the baseboards and the doors are gonna be white, and it's just a very standard white that I use for all of the trim work everywhere. However, on this wall, I do think I want to do something a little bit more special. This was the plan all along. I just didn't get the paint yet because I want to do this color. So the color of the pattern, I want to do that on the trim work and on the doors as well. I have no idea if that's maybe too much. I don't know. But when I was at the hardware store to get the colors mixed, this was very expensive. Having that lacquer paint made in this color was very expensive when I know that very often they have very good deals on this paint. They change deals weekly, so I decided to just wait for next week's deal and hope that it would be more affordable then. So I haven't gone back yet. I have to go and check if they actually have a better one now, but that is why I don't have it yet. But I also don't really know if it's gonna look good. So I think I'm just gonna test it out by getting this paint and putting it on the trim just to see if it looks good. Is it a weird yellow? Or is it a green? I don't know. What if we do the door as well? It's a weird color. Why is it such a weird color? It's a yellow? Is it like too creamy? I don't know. Maybe I should just go with white instead. So I already painted that super high wall that was beside the bedroom door, which is just in the back of the shot. I now only have to do this wall and the one that's opposite of this. The color that I'm using for this wall is called Feather. It's a really creamy, beautiful white color. I have also used it downstairs in the breakfast nook. And then I'm gonna put a plain white lacquer paint on the trim work and all of the doors of these walls. And then on the wall with the pattern, as you just saw, I tested out a different color, but to be very honest with you, I'm not so sure now. We'll see what I end up doing there. But first, I will do all of these walls and the white trim and the doors because I expect I have to do multiple layers of everything. So this is going to take a while. Learning how to knit in the meantime because I don't have enough hobbies. Why would you do that? How much of an idiot do you have to be to lean against a wall that you just painted like a minute ago? Okay then. There we go. Stupid. Good morning, it's the next day. I have finished painting the walls, which I'm very happy about. I know you can't really see the difference on camera, but it definitely does make a big difference in real life. This looks so much more creamy and white. The color that was there before was very yellow and it clashed with the floors, so that is fixed, but it was also just very damaged. There were smudges everywhere, so it just looks so much better now, which is very exciting. But I can't actually move on because I have ran out of everything. I don't have any paint left for the trim. I don't have the paint for the shiplap. I need the paint for the radiator, and I have run out of caulk. So I can't actually do anything anymore. So I'm gonna have to run to the hardware store and get some things. But I wanted to update you on that little thing over there. I did that little test piece on the trim and the door. I don't like it. I'm not gonna do that color. It's too yellow. I will basically be bringing back the yellow that I took out of the walls and put it into the doors. It's not gonna work. I'm just going to use the same color that I used on all of the other trim and doors, which is perfectly fine. It's just a standard white, a creamy white, and it will work. Right, so let's go and get some supplies. It's very nice outside, but it's very windy.
Who told you that it was too late? When was it that you started leaning that way? 4 tires cut into the clay. It dries up and now there's just one road to take.
Okay, I'm back. Got my paint. I am going to very quickly paint all of the trim pieces. I'm not going to bore you with that though, because you've been watching me paint for too long. And also it's gonna be white on top of white, so you're not really gonna see that much. I am though, so it is really important. But I'm just gonna turn on some knitting videos and paint this real quick. Well, not really that quick. It's actually kind of a lot of work, but then I'll get back to you. I changed my mind. I just realized I have to finish caulking first, now that I have caulk again. So that took so much longer than I anticipated, which is a common thing on my channel because I can't estimate time to save my life. But I got all of them done. I did all of the trim yesterday and then I did the doors this morning. Now the doors definitely do need a second coat, but I'll do that later. Obviously it has to dry for a lot of hours before you can do that. It does look really, really good. But now let's move on to this little red corner here. So I have moved out of the way everything that was in the way, like the saw and the vacuum and all the things that were laying against that wall, because we are going to paint this. Now I know it's not as bad as I made it sound earlier, but the radiator is definitely an eyesore, and the red is just, I don't even really hate it. I actually think it's just quirky enough to like it, but it just doesn't go with everything I have planned. It doesn't go with the rest of the space, so it has to go. I am going to paint over it. I've already done this around the corner. You've seen that during Vlogmas, and I did a recap, I believe. So I painted that the same color as the wall, and I'm gonna do that here as well. And then I got a radiator paint for the radiator in the same color. So I'm basically going to make it disappear. So I put a layer of primer on the shiplap, then I covered it with that beautiful paint that is the same color as the wall, and now I'm ready to do the radiator. Now for the color of the radiator, I actually couldn't really decide. I wanted to do a contrasting color, but then I couldn't really think of what color I'd have to use. So eventually I settled on getting the same paint color as the wall again, so that the whole radiator would just be less visible, because it's not really a pretty one. It's not something I want to draw attention to. But in hindsight, after I had painted the shiplap, this grayish, brownish grayish radiator actually didn't look all that bad against the shiplap. So in hindsight, I might have gone for a taupe, because it's not this color. This color is definitely not perfect, but a taupe would have probably looked really, really good on this. But then I'd already bought the paint, and I obviously can't return it because it was made special for me. So I'm not gonna go back and get another paint color just because I changed my mind this time. But if I ever do another project in this hallway, then I might just change it up and do a taupish color or something on this radiator. Or maybe if later we decide to replace this radiator, which is definitely a possibility because we are looking into several ways of heating up the house. So we might just get a whole different radiator for this spot. But then maybe I'll do something else instead of making it disappear. So for now, it's going to be the same color as the wall. I'm just going to do a thin layer of paint on the whole thing, because if you do it too thick, it's just gonna droop. It's gonna create drips like right here. I actually want to be very mindful of any drops that occur, because that is just gonna create more work for me. I'd have to sand that off before doing another layer. So I'm just going to do a thin layer of paint, and then when it's all dry, I'll do another layer, and then we're done. This plant situation here, it's a little bit of an experiment. I don't really like this plant because it's really, really wide and it takes up a lot of space, but Stephen does like it. So we're just trying it out. We're putting it here and hoping that the leaves are gonna grow to the other side because this is where the windows are. Let's see what it does. Okay, we're almost there. I've already done a couple of small things that were still on my list. So I painted the cabinet doorknobs. Now, originally I was planning on replacing these with some pretty ones, but then I noticed that the ones in the bedroom were just painted over and that looked pretty good. So I will carry that over into the hallway. Now I just need to attach all of the door handles and finish up the pattern wall. There are still some places where I need to add some bits of the pattern and some touch-ups that are needed. And then I can go and clean everything up, add some decor. I won't be adding too much, but just some things here and there. And then I will call it done. I'm done. And I am, for one, very, very happy that I'm done. I am completely done with this project, if you get what I mean. I think it looks absolutely amazing. It was worth everything that I did. I'm happy it's done, but it was definitely worth it. I truly hope you liked it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.